Hello people, today we're going to make a small leaded box. At the end I decided to attach a finial to it because it looked weird without it. We got two pieces of wood here. The brown red one is actually purple heart, but not with the normal purple like you see. But it got some nice figure in it, so I decided to pick that up at the store. The other one is ebony. So we're drilling out holes to make the woodworm screw. And safety first, of course, put the helmet on before everything else, so we are nice and safe. Attaching the PC to the lathe so we're ready to turn really soon. Tools ready, of course. I love this handle, it's so great. Makes it a lot easier and save space at the tool rack. So, alright, tail stuck up and we're ready to turn. Alright, first thing first, let's screw out the bottom here so we're ready to attach a glue block. The wood's not that thick, so I decided to use a glue block this time. You don't waste too much wood. It's just easy pull cuts. I think it's a lot safer like this. And a push cut just, you know, to start breaking the edge and getting a nice cut across the surface. It feels pretty good now, so we can just start working on the corners and knocking them out. The wood chips actually hurt my hand there quite a bit. Now you see I'm raising my hand and trying to avoid the pain, because it actually kind of hurt. So that's why you see me putting on a glove now. Normally I wouldn't advise using gloves while turning, but sometimes you just have to. Right. It shouldn't be a painful process turning, so sometimes you have to do what you can. Right. Alright, so putting on a few rubber gloves now just to make sure I don't get any of the CA glue on my fingers, because, you know, it's toxic, so might as well. Safety first, people. That's all that matters. And it's really toxic, that glue, so really be careful. A bit of it is now dripping down on my banjo, so I'll make sure to clean it up straight afterwards. You see there's some sawdust down there now, just to make sure I don't get too much build up down there. And just make extra careful here, just put a bit more on the sides and a bit of accelerator on it, just to be extra safe, because this is not like, it's not the perfect glue for the job, but it's fast and convenient, and it actually holds pretty well if you're not having a heavy catch. If you're having a really bad catch, it could fall off. So just keep that in mind, people, if you use it. So now it's prepared for my chucks at reverse now, so just chewing out the outside again. You get nice and round and balanced and start the hollowing process. I like to clean up the surface before I hollow, always. It just makes everything easier at the end, so that's why I chew it up. Alright, a few push cuts in here. I'm gonna give you a few clips of it, me doing this, and I'm gonna go past it. I like the wood chips coming out there, quite a few curly ones. Pretty nice for a dried piece of wood like this. The gouge I'm using is a 13mm ball gouge with a U shape in it. It's not V or parabolic. I prefer these gouges. Well, it's just a preference. It's what I'm using all the time, so that's why I like them. Making sure that I'm not going too deep. Truing out the edge here, so get a nice cut. Still thinking about the designs here. Now I decided to slope the corners a bit. Oh, it's really tight. Just shouldn't have done that. But yeah, okay. Make sure it's tight, right? So now for the ebony, it's going to be the lead part of it. Put it on the worm screw. I like using worm screw because it's nice and convenient. Or you should always have the tail stuck up there as well. And you can see all the wax coming off right now. So waxed out. Ebony is one of them woods that you cannot kiln dry it. What you can, but the rate of how much wood you will lose to cracking is really high, so they tend not to kill dry it. At least that's what I've been told. So just flattening out the bottom and cleaning up the edges here, like a nice round shape, so I can see what I got to work with. It actually cuts better than I thought it would for such a hard wood. So it cut really well. And you can see the wood just straight after the tool looks pretty good. So just making a tenon here for my large 130mm jaws. Alright, time to take it off and see how it fits. Away with the tailstock and test the fit of the jaw. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with that, so just tighten it down and I'm ready to reverse it. Truing up the face here, it's gonna end up being the bottom of the lead. Start a bit of hollowing to take a bit of wood out because it's not like perfectly dry, as I said earlier. Oh, look at the wood chips. That's just wood turning porn in my opinion. I love this stuff. Okay. The less wood I have, the less chance of it warping and cracking because of the somewhat high moisture content. And here I'm just making a small tenon for 100mm jaws. So I can hold the lid and work on the outside of it. It seems pretty good, so happy with that. Start working on the outside there. That's a good example of seeing how well the wood cuts. A total smooth finish after the tool is really nice to see. And of course the sanding. I'm not going to bore you too much with the sanding process because it's, sanding is boring. You get a bit of Yorkshire grit, you can start to see what it's going to look like. And ebony is such a nice wood to work with. It has a supreme, in my opinion, a supreme finish for the wood itself. Actually, it just doesn't need much. Sand it to 400 and then just Yorkshire grit. And you can see how it's shiny just after Yorkshire grit. So now there's some Hampshire gloss wax. Probably put a bit too much on there. You're supposed to put on a few thin coats and then you polish it afterwards, like here now. And you can see how easily I get the shine on the surface. Didn't take long. Trying to get rid of any excess I had in that little small groove there. Right, the tenon there is really small, so but it should be enough. And it was enough. I didn't have any problems with it dislodging or moving on the jaw, so it was a good fit. Now I was not sure how I was going to do the outside there, so I just started working and thinking at the same time, see what I think after a few cuts what's going to be best. I had a rough idea what I wanted, but nothing was set in stone. But again, you can see the wood chips coming out there. It's like good curly bits. It cuts really well. Again, really impressed with this. Just a shame it's so expensive. So just making a few detailed beads down there. And then start working on a flat piece there to make room for the finial. I thought I was going to make it a bit different there, but I had a small catch, so I had to remove that lip I had here on the top of it. There you go, it's gone. You can see it's a bit rough there on the edge. So, but we're just this time modifying it and keep going. Look at that shaving. It's the longest shave I ever made from a piece of wood. That was really some fun. Enjoyed that. Bit of hand sanding the details. Again, sanding's not something we like to see that much. It's just, you know, doing how little sanding actually needed, and there's a few rough spots with a bit of torn grain. You just had to sand away by hand. There's not much. It was just touch up really shortly with a hand sanding, and it was good. I got a Yorkshire grit after the 400 grit sandpaper. And the surface again just turned out really nice. Making sure to get in all those detailed parts there to get rid of any excess paste. And again, Hampshire Sheen's gloss wax. I applied 2 thin coats and it just buffed it out. And if I could just remember which way to turn the handle to get it off, that would be a lot easier. You can see it, the shine there is really good. There's a bit of sticky thinker, but that will go away as soon as I put a bit of cloth on it. But I'm just trying to measure out what, how big to make a small recess for the lid to stand in. Make it a nice fit. Not much needed. And here just a cleaning cut inside the ball to make the sanding a bit easier. It turned out pretty well. Then the rim here, it's just gonna make it a small slope downwards. And I do like a few rough cuts to make sure I got the shape where I wanted, and then a cleaning cut at the end. And then working on the outside, I thought at the time here just make it straight down, but then it was going to look too bulky, so I decided to make it more like a standard bowl shape on the outside as well. Getting back to the sanding, I started sanding with 120 grit. Just, you know, really quickly to get rid of any imperfections from the tool. And finish up with 400. You see the 400 grit is actually pretty good on this piece of wood. And you can see the curls, that looks really good. Then back to Yorkshire grit. I like Yorkshire grit so much, it's so easy to use. It does a really good job. And you can clean it off afterwards, there's nothing left. It's pretty cool. Right, let's see how it turned out. Oh yeah, pretty cool. And then the standard Hampshire Sheen gloss wax. I think I ended up adding 3 coats before I polished it. And a top tip here is using your other hand to steady the hand using the cloth, especially in the middle, which means you can got a lot more control. Pretty cool. Alright, let's see how that turned out. Yeah. You really see the curls now starting to pop. It's really nice. This is how it's going to be. Decided it looked a bit weird now, so after I made the clean up the bottom that I'm doing right now, I decided to put a finial on it. So the glue block was just a piece of oak I had lying around, an old bottle. I would recommend when you're using jaws like this that you always have a tailstock on, unless you're really got steady hands and know what you're doing, and the ball that you made fits the rubber bits on the jaws really well, so you got a good grip. If you got that, you can option out without using tailstock, but I normally wouldn't recommend it. Just a few contour beam cuts here at the bottom to make it a small rim to stand on, so it stands nice on the table when it's done. And of course the sanding part. Didn't take too long to sand this bit. I think it's been a few minutes tops. Then Yorkshire grades and Hampshire sheen gloss wax at the end. You need to be careful when you're sanding the outside of the ball after you put finish on it already. To make sure you got a nice blend it in nicely, otherwise you'll be able to see the two different applications of the finish wax if you're not careful. So because I decided to do the finial later, now I need to put the top on again here. Cold jaws and just drill a small hole. I actually tried to use the chuck I used to hold it with, but I couldn't get it to turn straight through, so I decided just to put the cold jaws on. Now working on the finial here. I got a piece of Blackwood, not a big piece though, but it's a nice little piece. This is actually my first finial, and the speed here is ×8, so gives you a rough idea of how long it took to make. Because it's so small and thin and delicate, it's just better to take your time. I'm using a 10mm ball gouge to do this. I like ball gouge more than spindle gouges, even though you kind of do as detailed work with a ball gouge as you can with a spindle. I just like ball gouge better while I use it. The top tip here is actually to don't take too much wood away, make it thin too long down while you're turning it, because it's going to get unstable. So just do a little bit at a time, just enough so you got room to work. You see in action, I'm not really holding the handle, I'm just holding the top of the handle and the bottom of the gouge itself, because it gives me more control. I get Blackwood cuts really well. It's a superb piece of wood. It's really hard and nice to work with. So just sand it out to 400 with sandpaper and use Yorkshire grit. And the finish here, I decided to go with friction polish instead of gloss wax. I can see the finished product. Just glued it on there in the hole, so it fit nicely. Just a bit of glue. And you can watch the stills here and enjoy the rest of it. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And I don't upload that often, so if you hit the bell icon, you'll see when I upload next. Thank you. Enjoy.